Alright, hey guys, this is my Konrad Slayr, and let's do a review. So, first things first, let's talk about construction. So, normal foam, vacuum sealed with carbon wrap. That's all I know, I'm not a shaper, but I can tell you that it's light as hell. Like that, and it's pretty strong. I've had a couple like proper doinks, and the only thing that I've got so far is that, and that's from a proper doink, like on another material, not my head. That's all I've got so far. I have been ripping it around and hitting sandbanks and stuff, and it's been holding up pretty well. Haven't hit too many sandbanks. So let's get into it. How does it ride in the water? Well, thing I like to explain to people is there's a balance between how thin you can go, how responsive you can get the board with still being able to paddle onto waves. And I think this board does it really well. Obviously it's not meant for, at 31 liters, it's not meant for like absolute pro, but it's meant for someone who's pretty good. And at 31 liters, I can get into 95% of waves. And this thing, as you can see, is pretty thin where the tracks are, so it's very responsive. And there's that balance of getting how many liters you can get in out of it with still being really efficient. And I think that this shape does that really well. It's got that pulled in tail with the sharp lines that I've been told that's what makes the water come off real quick. And that's what makes the board so efficient when paddling onto waves. The water just goes like that. And that's why it's got this kind of cut off tail. The also other thing about this board is that the Y point is up through here. So for someone like me with broad shoulders, it makes it much easier to be paddling on this board. Whereas someone that was a bit slower of a paddler might have it down here. The midpoint up here makes it easy to paddle onto any sort of waves. All right, quickly we'll go over deck grip, leash plug, and how it looks. So, leash plug. This is a common thing with foil boards, is it's bloody hard to get your leash in your leash plug. With this thing, as you can see, get a close up of that. No worries. It's really easy. It has a curved bottom. So when you stick it in like this, it does go in easily. And I did that in about 5 seconds in my lap. That's pretty easy. So that's a good thing. There's also a built-in valve here, so if it does get too hot, which sometimes happens, I do sometimes leave it in my car for tomorrow's session. There is a valve here so your board doesn't expand and hurt itself. This deck grip, when I first started for Konrad, we actually didn't even know what this deck grip was doing. I thought that the glue was coming out and sticking to my feet, and that's why it was so sticky. But this deck grip's actually so innovative. these holes here, when you put enough pressure on them with your feet, obviously, as you can imagine when you're pumping, they actually get suction. And I don't know what that's called, but your feet actually suction to these little holes, especially when they're wet. So that is a game changer when you're just pumping and ripping around. It feels like you're more locked in than ever. And finally, for color and how it looks, I think it looks pretty schmick. I wanted it to kind of look plain and almost like a shark. So, I mean, all these days, people were getting these crazy colors and stuff. I just wanted to let the foiling speak for itself and get a plain color. So I just got this nice gray kind of resin tint. And you can see through here, it's got these tiny little, just small channels through here that also help with paddling efficiency. It's this color. I've also put these things on it, whatever. So when I'm prone downwinding and I fall off out the back around the sharks, they know I'm one of them. These tracks for this board are not all the way at the back. Obviously the back point's right there, and the mid point's probably here on the board. So they're really well balanced I ride Armstrong. For reference, I'm riding a HA925, a V190 tail, and an 85 centimeter mast. When I'm riding the Armstrong, I have it at about setting 3. I do ride it right in the middle of the tracks. I think it's really well balanced for an Armstrong foil, but it is in that sort of sublime area where a lot of foils do work with this board, like Lift, Takuma, Armstrong. Whatever you whack on this, it's going to work. The only thing that I would change about this board is I'd probably go down a couple of liters, just because it paddles so well, to be honest. And I'd probably go down to about 27. This thing is just, yeah, it paddles really well, get into everything. And I mean, it's so responsive, it's so light. And that's about it. See you out there.